And from the bowels of Christmas, we return the Technophilia Gaming Podcast. It may be 2 days before New Year's, but that is not enough to stop us from bringing you the greatest podcast on the internet, TM. I am Dave LeClaire, your host for today, because James Bruce is not here. He is currently trying to sell his house. Some poor sucker is going to get a house filled with chicken poop and other various things that no one would ever want. So I'm here with only one Mr. Rob Wiesahan. Rob, how's it going?
See, I was assuming that the post-Christmas problems were what was stopping James. Now I feel bad because I was thinking less of him.
Yeah, James is he's being James basically. He's just off doing James stuff, and I mean that's fine, you know. If doing James stuff makes him happy, then let him do his thing, and he shall be out Jamesing. And that's pretty much it. So he said he would come in like halfway through the show, but that would be more of a pain in the butt than anything because we'd have to go and change the whole layout of the cameras and stuff. So I said, you know what, James? Either you come at the beginning or you don't come at all. We are not here to be your personal whatever, you know. So we just said, screw you, James. Go away. So we don't really...
James.
Yeah,
be responsible with your family.
Well, he's trying to move to like the middle of nowhere. He doesn't want to live, even though he already kind of lives in the middle of nowhere. But now he wants to really live in the middle of nowhere. So good for him.
And he's a tech podcaster.
I don't know. I mean, apparently when I picked James and Justin and contacted them and said, hey, come do this podcast thing with me. And like I picked the two people who don't, like Justin doesn't even have a smartphone. Mm-hmm. And James wants to live in the boonies with his chickens. Like, I don't know. Where did these guys come from?
I'll become an urban cyborg with you, Dave LeClaire.
Yeah, apparently you and me were like the only people who. Well, I mean, if you think about it, we did go and like convince a group of poor people to come join us and follow us, and I convinced them that I'm their leader. If you remember our game we played, so. I am
Numenera game. Yeah,
yes, yeah. I am like some kind of urban god to these people, so it's only fair. But anyway, so today we don't really have much in the way of news because well, I mean it was Christmas time, so no one really did anything in the games industry. Everybody kind of sat around and enjoyed time with their family, which is nice. But
people did things to the games industry.
People did things to the game industry, which is about the only news story we do have to talk about, which we will get to later. 'Tis not the time for such malarkey. But we do have some other cool stuff planned to talk about today. We are going to obviously talk about the games that we've been playing, which is something that we pretty much do every week because that is standard operating procedure for a video game podcast. If you are making a video game podcast, ask yourself, what games have I been playing? And then you talk about them, and that's how you do it. And then we're also going to talk about, at a request from a listener, one Mr. Trader Bagel, we are going to talk about games that we're looking forward to in the future. He wants us to talk about some upcoming releases, which is something that we have not really touched on too much since we kind of went to all video games all the time. So, yeah, so we're going to do that, and that should be fun. That should be a fun topic of conversation. So that's about what we're looking at today.
On that note, if any of you live or if you just listen to the recorded podcast, if any of you have things that you want to hear us talk about, by all means, contribute those ideas, you know. If we're giving you more of what you want, you will be more likely to listen and help the podcast proliferate. So by all means, let us know what you want on Twitter or on any of our other social networking spaces.
Apparently, unless you want James to actually play video games regularly, in which case no amount of asking is going to get that because he's just lazy. So without further delay, let us move on to what we've been playing, which we're going to start with you, Mr. Rob. I heard you've been playing In the Shadows.
In the Shadows.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Shadow of Mordor. So I finally got my hands on that. And as you may have heard, if you pay attention to games journalism, that is it's widely acclaimed as one of the best games of the year.
So that's how
And
the
it's
open world
good.
works for the most part. There are various
I don't know if
collectibles,
it's necessarily
which you'll find all over
so
the place,
much
artifacts and Ephelia,
as Game of the
which you
Year
can
material
collect
as
and
everyone made it out to be. There's some pretty cool and revolutionary things in it. I mean, honestly, that Nemesis system, which, by the way, isn't in the last-gen versions, only in the PC, PS4, and Xbox One versions, that Nemesis system is really cool. And it has motivated me to go out and hunt specific orc captains and feel a great sense of pride in, ramming my elf sword through their face. So that thing's working as intended. And that is probably the most impressive thing the game does, is that provided you at least lose a few battles, you get this real sense of vendetta against very specific characters in the game. And they have audio samples that, tell you like, hey, I remember you, you really set me on fire last time, and now I'll be the one burning you, or, some other kind of very specific thing, based on what you actually did to them in combat. And that's really cool. I must say that I've actually gotten pretty distracted from the main story in my specific hunts for orc captains and knocking them down. And it's extra cool when it turns into this like huge knockdown, drag-out fight where like multiple captains show up in rapid succession, and you're like, oh gosh, how am I going to get out of this? Is it time to run, or is it time to like power through? And you feel often just enough in control of the situation to make that commitment to like try to power through and take on 3 of them at a time. And when it goes well, it goes really well, and when it goes poorly, it just goes, just awfully, awfully poorly. But that's a really solid game. I guess I would say its downsides are the story ain't so great. I barely care about what's going on in the overall story. I'm more interested in my orc stabbing chronicle and the very specifics of that. And then also the game just is all combat all the time. Like, yes, there are little side things to hunt for, but the fact of the matter is you're always doing it on a battlefield. There's always someone chasing you or able to see you. And so there's never any sense of like rising and falling action. You are like always on all the time. And so it can get a little exhausting, is the other drawback.
Well, there's always the option of taking a break, Rob. Haven't you ever seen Nintendo's health and safety tips?
Right. No. And I know, but the thing is, if you binge on that game, you're going to walk away from it exhausted. You kind of got to play it in, smaller, like an hour to an hour and a half of that game is about perfect. And if you do what I did the first time I sat down with it, about like 4 hours, I just did like a 4-hour straight, blast through trying to get as far as I could. Man, that game will wear you out. You will feel harried for sure. But definitely a great game, and that Nemesis system is something you really got to see to understand and believe it. So make sure you pick that up, whether new or whether you wait a couple months down the road, get it cheap. Enjoy having a vendetta against orcs and having them hunt you down and say awful, nasty things to you.
Yeah. So before we went live, I was listening to Giant Bomb's their Game of the Year deliberation podcast that they do, and they talked about this game under the best debut category, and they were arguing that the game itself is not really the best debut. The Nemesis system is the best debut, and in a way, it's kind of true. The game itself, there's a lot of things about the game that you could kind of throw away, the story and stuff like that, but that system, you could see that being used in so many other games, and I don't know, even like imagine if there was something like that like in GTA, where like if you got I forgot to turn off the stupid thing, that the stupid bot. Imagine if there was a thing in GTA where like a cop, if he arrested you, he would remember that, and that cop would have it out for you. Like, that system can be applied to a lot of different games in a really cool way, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, and this is also, I think this is the first big example. Like, it's very easy to see graphics and, like visual experiences that we haven't been able to have with the last gen systems. This is one of the first few, like, actual changes in gameplay that's only available on the new generation of hardware. You can't do that Nemesis system and all the stuff it tracks with the horsepower on our PS3s and our Xbox 360s. Either that or they chose not to push people toward the next gen. I don't know. I'd like to think that we're getting an experience that we couldn't have had before. But either way, it's definitely it's definitely a cool thing that you need to get your hands on. There's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, I agree. We seem to have some weirdness going on in the chat. Out of spamming or something. I don't know what's going on. So, hello, spammers. Whoever is not a spammer, hello to you as well. So, I've only played one game really this week, and it's a game that we've talked about a few times, so I don't think we need to go too heavily into anything that I had to say. I'm probably about 3 hours in right now. And that is Dragon Age: The Inquisitionals. Yeah,
Ooh, nice.
I'm inquisiting some dragons, and I gotta say, actually, the game is not super grabbing me. Maybe it's because I'm not like really hunkering down and just like playing it for hours and hours on end, and I'm kind of playing like 45 minutes here, 45 minutes there, and then kind of moving along with my day. But I feel like it's a game that I need to kind of really like sit down for like 3-4 hours to really get going in. But it did not grab me as well as I had hoped it might.
Yeah, I've played through it too, and it's kind of one of those things where it's a bunch of really great moments that are separated by some problems with pacing and some generic MMORPG style questing.
Yeah,
but certainly those moments are worth playing it to see.
For sure. I'm definitely not going to give up on it. I'm definitely going to keep going on it. It's just I remember Dragon Age 1 and even 2 with its problems really sucking me in right off the bat. Like, I started playing them, I was like, yes, this is what I want, And this one is just not quite doing that as much, but we'll see. I'm sure I'll get back into it, so.
So you're saying you like Dragon Age 2 better?
So far than this, yeah. But like I said, I think I've been playing this wrong, because I don't think that going in for a little 45 minutes to an hour is the right way to play Dragon Age. I think you need to go in at least the first few times you play it and really give it like a few hours to get fully comfortable with all the systems and all that stuff. So
yeah, it takes a while. There's kind of a turn, about, I mean, depending on how fast you play, it could be around like a dozen hours in or so, where it's like, okay, now you're giving me like the equivalent of the Mass Effect Normandy, and that kind of that greater sense of home and control of a place, and then the story kind of opens up and more of the content opens up. So yeah, it's a little slow to get going, but certainly tons of content. Like as far as the actual quantity of Dragon Age you're getting for $60, very, very good.
Yep. So that's pretty much all I've been playing this week is that, and then obviously the usual suspects like Dota and a little bit of WoW and stuff, but we don't need to talk about those because they're really nothing new. They're still Dota and WoW.
If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't.
Yep. Dota sucks, but I love it anyway. We're being told to look at the chat, but unfortunately the chat is not really saying anything. They're just kind of saying weird stuff.
Yeah.
They're from 4chan.
So, let's see. The other thing I've been playing since Christmas is Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth, which is that new Persona game, kind of a Persona game, for 3DS. Persona Q is a crossover story, kind of a fan service story with the characters from Persona 3 and Persona 4. And the actual gameplay is the gameplay from Etrian Odyssey. So it is first-person dungeon crawling, hard battles, kind of an attrition-based dungeon crawler, where the difficulty is like going really deep into the dungeon and getting out and having enough resources to make it back to the surface if you didn't pack enough like ways to escape. But you're literally you're mapping the dungeon on the lower screen. You're fighting like really hard rare spawn enemies that come up here and there. I'm kind of lukewarm above average on it. Certainly having played Persona 3 and Persona 4, I appreciate it from the fan service angle, from the angle of having met all these characters and seeing their full character arcs in their debut games, and then coming back and just seeing them get to like hang out as friends and chatter with each other. But the Etrian Odyssey, gameplay is a little bit of a change of pace for me because I'm coming to this as a Persona fan. So it's weird to see this more methodical, dungeon exploration rather than Persona's very run full tilt through the dungeon and you can see the enemy spawns coming and run around them and things like that. Like Etrian Odyssey style is, you're running into random encounters whether you like it or not. But I need to push a little further into that. It's certainly, I can tell it's going to be a long game because I think I've only just gotten to the end of the first floor of the dungeon with several hours of play to get there. But lots of neat subsystems, and I think I'm going to take a shine to it better than like the core Etrian Odyssey games because those have so much kind of free reign over character customization that it's very possible to build your party wrong and have to go back and like make new characters to replace the ones you built in a sloppy way. Whereas in this one, they exert much more control over what you're packing and how many options you have as far as character development. So I think that's going to be a nice change of pace. It's not nearly as intimidating as the Etrian Odyssey game. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
And it's got the Persona feel a little bit, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's got the Persona...
I mean, not the feel like in gameplay, like the feel in like personality and stuff.
Yeah, the Persona personality is all there. It's very much friends hanging out and wisecracking with one another, and then, going through this... The story is that this mysterious clock tower has sprung up, and so both Persona casts get together and go searching through it to find out why this bizarre clock tower has appeared and what's going on in it. So, that's a shot from the Persona 3 angle of the story. You can actually play it from the Persona 4 protagonist angle or the Persona 3 protagonist angle.
Which I would personally I would go with the 4. I didn't really play Persona 3. I was a Persona 4. No, the DEC 5. This is not a rebroadcast. This is the real show. You have finally made it to the real show. I've noticed poor DEC has came into the chat room like probably 4 times while I was rebroadcasting last week, and every time he'd be like, damn it, this is a rebroadcast again. You finally have made it to the real show, my friend, so welcome. Enjoy the chat room that is just super fucked right now. I don't know what the hell is going on in there, but yeah, welcome. So that's what we've been playing this week. So now, since there's no news, we were like, man, we need something to talk about because we can't just talk about the 3 games that we've been playing and then be like, well, that's a show, guys. We'll see you later. So we're going to talk about games from next year that we are looking forward to. There's, obviously a lot of stuff is going to still be announced for next year. Stuff for later in the year, like in the holidays and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff has not been announced yet, but we are going to kind of talk about that. So, Rob, why don't you start with your first game of the list, which is, I'm going to let you say it.
Final Fantasy Type 0. So there's actually, apparently I love disappointment and pain and shame because Final Fantasy has been dropping the ball as a franchise for quite a few years now. But Final Fantasy Type 0 is a little bit of a different story. It was kind of supposed to be a spin-off of the Final Fantasy 13 universe, but then when Final Fantasy 13 started to lose some popularity with core Final Fantasy fans, they took everything that was going to be associated with FF13 other than the core trilogy and kind of renamed it or spun it off into its own thing. But I think it was a PSP or PS Vita game that's getting up-resed and made into a PS4 release. Apparently, it's a much darker, more serious story. You're at this heroic academy of some kind. So all the characters are actually like wearing the same school uniform and stuff. There's a lot going on in the way of that kind of school drama stuff that Japan loves to do so much. Looks like it's got action kind of similar to things like Kingdom Hearts or that Parasite Eve game, The Third Birthday, that not many people got to play because PSP was dwindling when that finally launched. But yeah, it looks like it's got some cool action RPG elements, and as much as Final Fantasy has disappointed me, I guess I'm a sucker. I just have to keep coming back. So if nothing else,
you and all of the Final Fantasy fans are.
It's an abusive relationship, right? I mean, it's nuts. But I'll at least pay attention to the reviews as it comes out and see if I want to give it another chance. Certainly, it looks cool, and it looks kind of like a fun, dark take on Final Fantasy.
You're keeping the faith, my friend. I appreciate your...
I'm holding this torch, but man, the wind is fierce and the rain is driving.
Poor Rob and all the Final Fantasy fans. They just want him. Even like when they announced like a remake of a game that everybody wanted to get, like it seems so easy. Like, hey, we're gonna remake Final Fantasy VII, but not really. We're just gonna re-release the PC version of it because that's what everybody wants. So it seems
so dumb.
It seems as though the weirdos have left. So I guess they got bored or something. I don't know what happened, but what was that? Can we talk about that for a second? What the hell just happened?
Talking about it is exactly what they want you to do. Just ignore it.
But they're gone now, so they're not seeing us talk about it. So we could now make fun of them in peace and freely.
Even making fun of them is giving them the attention they desire. Don't pay attention. Either ban it or ignore it, but don't give it any attention.
Fair enough. It did make us higher on the list of gaming talk shows. It put us on like second. So that was cool. I guess I don't know. Whatever. Nightbot, you did a terrible job of handling that situation, though.
Yeah.
Terrible job, Nightbot. So my first game of anticipation is I decided to go with a game that's actually coming soon, which is Dying Light, which I'm very cautiously optimistic towards. I'm not necessarily convinced that it is going to be a great game, but basically it is kind of like Dead Island with a lot of parkour. It's like zombie Mirror's Edge, maybe you could say would be a good way to describe it. I'm a little done with zombie games because there's been an awful lot of zombie games, but at the same time, this one at least has some interesting twists on it with the kind of the free running and the parkour and the day-night cycle where during the day you can kind of move freely around the world without too much concern, and then at night the world becomes just an automatic shit show that just destroys you. So I hope that it's good. I want it to be good, but I'm like you with Final Fantasy. I'm going into this one with definitely a great deal of caution that it could completely be poopy. This could be like, I don't know, it could be like Watch Dogs or something where it comes out and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the way lots of video games handle zombies, you've kind of got one of two directions you can go with it. You can go, you're a more powerful character, but there are zombies everywhere, or you can go the more desperate kind of horror route where they limit your ability, and that's how they make the horror scary. And so this seems to lean toward that more action-oriented angle of it, you said?
Oh yeah, this does, I mean, like, at nighttime, the zombies become more powerful, and it's scary in that like you can't really fight them. Is what the pitch seems to be. But at daytime, you can they're manageable. So, but it's not like scary. Like, oh, jump scares sneak up on you. It's definitely more. It's not to the extremes of Dead Rising, but I think it's closer to that than like a slow-paced horror game. So we'll see. I'm holding out hope.
Yeah, it certainly looks attractive here. It looks like they did a really good job with the environments and everything. So certainly one to keep an eye on. I've heard a lot of people mention it, but I haven't actually done much research on it myself.
So this next one is funny. We both have the same game in the same spot on our list.
You talk about it because I have it listed as anticipated because I think the gaming community at large will take to it very well, but I might not personally play it. I just think it's definitely worth paying attention to.
So the game we are talking about is Evolve, which is that asymmetrical multiplayer shooter kind of game where basically one player plays as the monster and then a group of, I believe it's 4? Is that correct? Do you know?
Yeah, that's correct.
A group of 4 play as human hunters who are trying to bring down the monster. The monster, in some ways, the monster kind of reminds me of like a carry in a MOBA, in that he has to kind of farm up the NPC type of things on the map to evolve and become a higher level monster. At level 1, the 4 hunters can generally bring down the monster pretty easily if they're actually coordinating and like playing together. But at level 3, the monster, which is the highest level, the monster becomes like an unbeatable death machine.
Yeah, like it looks to me like it's the kind of game where the person playing the monster has the coolest role, the most fun, because he's got gameplay that transitions, very, very dramatically over the course of a match, where you start out trying to hide and trying to, eat animals and stuff and not engage with the hunters. And then in the late game, if you've managed yourself well and stayed away from them for long enough, then you're powerful enough to mow down a huge bunch of hunters all at the same time.
Right, and it's so what ends up happening from what I did not get into the beta. Ben had some codes, but they're for PS4, and I didn't have a PS4 at that time. So everything that I know of this game is from what I've heard people say of it and what I've watched of it. But what I've heard is that when you're playing with like randoms online, a lot of the times the monster just ends up like YOLOing at people from level 1 and dying. And a lot of the times the hunters, don't coordinate well enough to go for the monster at level 1 if he does that. If he doesn't, just die, and they end up basically just getting killed by the monster because everybody's running off and doing their own thing. And that right there is why I am definitely cautiously optimistic for this game, is that like Dota in a lot of ways and League of Legends, like if you are not coordinated in this game, I can see it being absolute garbage and just a miserable time every time if you're on the hunters.
Yeah, well, I think going to happen is the same kind of thing. I know I've mentioned before that I play Guild Wars 2 on and off, and when Guild Wars 2 first launched, the world versus world combat in that was just everybody running around like a second-grade soccer team, like running up to any keep they could find, bashing on the door with melee weapons, and generally taking the least efficient route to capturing keeps and stuff. And now 2 years later, people are playing it and using all the tools at their disposal, and getting the most efficient sieging for their effort. So I think the same thing's going to happen with Evolve. People are going to have to L2P. They're going to have to learn to play it. And then over time, the core player base will be people who get comfortable with their roles. And then if it's like every other multiplayer game, they will yell derogatory words at any newbies who come in and destroy the community. So enjoy it while it lasts, Evolve players. You're going to be your own end.
I can't see this actually being like an esport. Like they were kind of talking about like I think the asymmetrical gameplay kind of excludes it from being an esport.
Oh yeah.
Which they were kind of like pitching it as such, but like I can't. It just doesn't make sense to me. It'd be like if Dota had like a lopsided map or something. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. So
yeah.
Anyway, so we'll keep our eye on Evolve. I think it has the possibility of being a cool game. I don't see myself getting heavily into it because I don't see myself getting good enough to really get heavily into it. But I would at least like to try it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it looks like it's an interesting concept that's not, we've seen asymmetrical multiplayer games before, but this isn't quite like anything we've seen. It's got some freshness to it, and so I think that's why it's garnering attention, and I think it's one to keep an eye on, definitely.
So the DEC5 in the chat says Evolve very bad. So he does not, or she, actually I never asked for a gender, does not have very high hopes for the game, and we shall see, I guess.
I'd be interested to know if Deck has actually played it, because when I was over in Singapore briefly, I actually went to a game convention and just kind of went and looked around, and there was a demo booth for Evolve, so they are taking it to places where people can try it out. Try it out in the field.
Oh, they had that public alpha too.
Yeah. So
they were very generous with codes for that. Like if you wanted a code, you could pretty much get a code. So so it was definitely possible for people to play it.
There's a reasonable amount of buzz around it. I think it could occupy the same kind of space that Payday 2 does. Payday 2 has stuck around and produced a fairly solid number of players consistently for quite a while now, and they've done a lot of DLC for that game.
I always see that game come up on a Steam sale, and I always think I want to play it, but then I never do.
I think it's one of those things kind of like Dota where you have to have friends playing it who either tutorialize you or you all learn together. Because if you just pick up with randoms, you're just going to end up with that frustrating gulf between newbie and pro.
Yeah, true. So moving along to the next game, we'll go to your list. We'll count that one as from my list because I talked about it mostly. What is the next game that you would like to tell us about?
Bloodborne, and I don't think I'm alone in being excited about Bloodborne. If you are a fan of the Souls series, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne is the next big project from that company, From Software, I think it is. Yeah.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah. And Bloodborne is supposed to be like a Souls game, but also a little more mainstream appeal. The Souls games can get very obtuse about how they present things and how they hide secrets. And so Bloodborne
also just like the menus are confusing in the Souls games, and figuring out like what stat does what is not always super obvious to if you're used to like a more traditional RPG that kind of spells out like, hey, agility is going to give you +5 armor. It's Souls games, you kind of have to figure it out on your own a little more.
Yeah, but it looks like it's that same. It has a similar level of brutally hard combat and very much very weighty swings where you have to time your you kind of have to time your entry into the fray very carefully to keep from getting whacked. It looks super promising, and it's actually they've announced some really cool features for it. They're going to have a feature where each person who plays it gets assigned a randomly generated dungeon, but you only get one dungeon. And then if you want more dungeons, you have to share dungeons with people. So the cool news is your randomly generated dungeon is fixed, which means you can go through it and you can decide, I want to tell my friends the strategy for the dungeon, or look out for this or look out for that. You can have a unique exploration experience that no one can spoil for you with walkthroughs or with, just being spoiler jerks on the internet. And then you can be the one who decides how to disseminate both your dungeon and how much information about your dungeon. Whether you just want to tweet out information about how to get to it or whatever. I'm not sure exactly how the sharing works. They haven't gone through that. But I think that's a really cool idea that's better than just giving everybody a pile of randomly generated dungeons, because it forces a conversation. And that can only help a game like this that's going to have, it's got multiplayer features. It's going to have a need for a healthy, active community. And that's only going to help, boost conversation and signal boost it.
So while we were cautiously optimistic about the other ones, I have very little doubt in my mind that this game will be beloved by people who love From Software games. I don't love From Software games. I've tried Dark Souls, and I just really couldn't get into it. But I certainly appreciate them, and I have very little doubt. The worst game they've put out recently was Dark Souls 2. Some people had some problems with that, and that to say that is your worst game is pretty freaking good, because that was still a really good game. So,
yeah, I think it's weird to see From Software suddenly just like this, being treated like this AAA studio, because for the longest time they were doing like a ton of hit or miss kind of work. The Armored Core series is one thing that they were behind, and it's a middling series. It's a series that gets like 65s on Metacritic. And to see them just kind of come out of left field, first with Demon Souls, and then to continue to milk this formula so successfully, it's such a neat transition to see them go through. Like, they finally hit their thing, and then they were able to replicate it without feeling cheap. Like, people haven't gotten tired of the Souls formula yet. So, and Bloodborne seems like they're trying that same formula, but more actively putting twists on it, that they're not just making Dark Souls 3. So I think they're trying some really healthy things as a company, and I'm excited to see where Bloodborne takes us.
Agreed. So in the chat, DEC is asking about The Division, if that is something that we are looking forward to. That comes out, just has a 2015 release date, so it's nothing is hard set in stone, but I noticed that it's not on either of our lists, and I did see it in passing as we went by, as I was reading through what's coming, but I feel like I don't know enough about it to include it on my list. And also, it's from Ubisoft, and I lost all faith in Ubisoft. So
that's another one. I'm in the same boat as you. I just don't know enough about The Division yet. It's this multiplayer online, like post-apocalypse military kind of thing, or like you're in an environment that used to be civilized but is sliding into chaos and is full of like banditry and terrorism, and so that seems like it could be a really cool thing to play with people. Obviously, the money's going to be in the execution. Whether they make something that has a really good gameplay loop that people can do over and over again and play for months at a time, or if people feel like they're running out of content too quickly. So I feel like I don't know enough about it to say. I mean, it's certainly a series or a game, not a series, that I'm watching for news on. But I just don't know enough to say whether I'm stoked or whether I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, without it even having like even a month, a release month yet, or a quarter, it's just 2015. We're going to learn a lot more about that game as time goes on, and I think we'll be able to better pass judgment if we revisit this again. I was actually thinking, I'll ask the listeners about if we once a month at the end of the month took a quick look at the games coming out in the following month and kind of just like ran down like, hey, here's what you should watch out for this month, in our opinion. I think that might be a fun feature to do. So if you guys would be interested in hearing something like that, definitely let us know. That's something we could definitely do, and it would get more, instead of just talking about what's out and what we've been playing, it would get more upcoming stuff into the mix. So that'd be something we might look at down the road, maybe doing.
Yeah.
Speaking of down the road and games that don't necessarily have a release date, and I'm pretty much putting this on my list like almost on pure blind faith, Persona 5.
That's not on my list, but I'm really excited about that game too.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know at all when this is coming to America. I believe Atlas did recently announce that it is 100% coming to America, though, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
And we've confirmed also it's going to get a PS4 release, so if you've been holding on to your PS3 hardware just to play Persona 5, no need. You can play it on the PS4.
Who would have thought Atlas putting out a game on a current gen platform?
Go figure, right?
I mean, that's literally like all I can really say about Persona 5, though. Like, I don't know anything about it. I just know that I liked Persona 4, and that's it. That's pretty much what I know.
I know absolutely nothing about this game, and I will pre-order it.
I'm done with pre-ordering, so I will not pre-order it. But yeah, I'm gonna blindly go and say I want this game. So.
Oh, okay. So Deck in the chat is saying he doesn't even know what Persona 5 is about. So Persona is a relatively long-running Japanese-style RPG series. Persona is actually a kind of mini-series within a broader series called Shin Megami Tensei.
The full name of Persona 4 is Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4.
Yeah. And so they're all part of this Shin Megami Tensei series, which is all about people who are able to summon demons to protect the world. And all the games are kind of like, dark stories about using evil powers for good and, the cost of that. But the Persona series specifically within SMT is about teenage kids getting demon summoning powers, and the dynamic of trying to save the world and do the RPG stuff, the dungeon crawling, the killing demons, the saving the world part by night or during some period of your life, and then also trying to maintain an ordinary high school social life by day. And the real magic of the Persona series comes together in the way that both of those systems feed into one another. You can find things in the dungeon that people in the real world need and will thank you for and develop stronger relationships with you for. You can do things when you hang out with people and strengthen your friendships. The demons you control feed on those friendships, and so it makes your demons stronger. So you've got this great loop where both of the main systems feed into one another, and so you're never doing either one long enough in like a long enough stint for it to get boring, because you're always moving back to the other thing to keep the loop going around. They're always really well written, great sense of humor, particularly if you are into Japanese media and anime. You'll notice a lot of anime tropes explored. You'll notice a lot of anime archetypes in the main characters and the characters you hang out with. But just it's simultaneously a save the world story kind of series and an extremely heartfelt human relationship sincere kind of series.
And it's a Japanese dating sim.
Yeah, but the dating elements are downplayed. Like, it's not like some of the skeezy Japanese dating.
No, it's not skeezy. Everybody that you date is at least your age.
Yeah.
You're not a grown man dating 12-year-olds or whatever you see in the weird Japanese games, but yeah.
It's not an eroge or a hentai or
no.
That.
It's very tasteful. Everything is tasteful in it, but
yeah,
it's just it's a very quirky game.
Yeah, if you want various girls to call you senpai, you should probably be playing the Persona games.
Notice me, senpai.
Yes, exactly. Oh, senpai, you're so forward.
Yes, and I love Persona 4. It is probably my top 5 favorite games of all time. So I will just blindly go into Persona 5 and hope that it is as good, at least close to as good. If it's half as good, it'll still be good.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
All right. So moving down the list, we're going to
Batman Arkham Knight.
Batman Arkham Knight, another game that was supposed to come out in 2013 or 14. We're going into 15, right? Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that was a pushback situation.
Yeah, that was pushed back. It was originally announced, I believe, for the holidays. I'm gonna double check though, because who knows? I could be just
fact checking.
I could be pulling stuff out of my butt, but I'm almost positive.
Well, Batman Arkham Knight looks like finally with better hardware, we can make a Batman game worth playing again, because since Arkham Asylum came out,
October
original
release. October was the original release, pushed back to June, so they went back a full 9 months. That was a big push.
Yeah, but ever since Rocksteady came out with that first Batman game and had this bona fide hit on their hands, basically everyone who's handled Batman since then has made that same video game, like to a T, same combat system.
Well, has there really been any other ones that aren't in the Arkham arc story?
Well, it's all Arkham ones, but not the same developers handled all those. Like
Rocksteady did the first 2, right? And then
I want to say that's correct.
The third one was, the Treyarch of Batman.
Yeah. The just like the off team or something. I don't know, but
from all what I heard, it's still a perfectly fine Batman game, though. It's just not as good.
It's just that we've been doing kind of the same thing over and over again, and there's only so long a perfectly good formula can be played before you're like, okay, I've seen what you have to do. But Arkham Knight looks like not only is it going to be absolutely gorgeous with the gameplay that they've shown off so far, but you're going to get control of the Batmobile, and you're going to be able to ride it around like a tank. It can strafe and things like that. So that's going to change the gameplay dynamic. All around, I'm hoping that there are enough new ideas tried here to refresh it mechanically, because I want to play a gorgeous Batman game that's as fun as it looks.
I only played the first 2. I never played the one that wasn't from Rocksteady, so my memories of the Batman games are unclouded by the mediocre ones, so I'm ready to go. As far as I'm concerned, this is like the sequel to the second one for me, so I'm ready to jump right back in. The Mordor combat that Mordor borrowed the combat from Batman. We go back, play that in Batman. I'm good with that. Let's do it. I'm ready to go. Sign me up. There's nothing else coming out in June, because it's freaking June, so perfect timing for a Batman game, I say.
Yeah, dive back in.
It's ready. It's time. It's Batman time, bros. Well, I mean, Batman time in 6 months, so.
He's not the hero video games need. He's the hero video games deserve.
Sure.
I don't know. People love that phrase.
Yeah, people do love that phrase. I don't really know why, though. It's not that great of a phrase, I don't think. But what do I know about it? I'm just some guy on the internet talking about video games. And speaking of video games, I feel like this is one that's on a lot of people's lists. Like, a lot. And that is The Witcher 3. The game from the developers who know how to say everything that gamers want to hear. They're talking about how
certainly.
They pushed the game back because they wanted it to come out with no day one patch necessary, bug-free on release day, and they said, hey, we're not going to rush this game, and we're going to put it out when it's done, so if we have to push it back a little bit to get it out when it's done, so be it. Good for them. CD Projekt Red, you guys are awesome. I hope the game is as good as you say it's going to be, because you've already pushed it back like 87 times, so let's do it.
This is one of those one of those kind of rare, like really hotly anticipated games from a from a small. What they're from Poland, right? They're from
they're from somewhere over there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're very independent. Like there are a lot of development studios in like European nations, but a lot of them are owned by Ubisoft. It's like Ubisoft sets up shop somewhere and just like harvests the development talent out of a place and takes advantage of the world economy to pay them the wages that are fair for that region. But CD Projekt Red is this very independent entity that makes a lot of their own decisions, and they've taken this Witcher franchise, which was a novel franchise, and they've turned it into this really hardcore kind of one-man army Western RPG that really caters to a hardcore audience. I've never been able to get super deep into the Witcher games, but I appreciate what they pull off.
I think that what really got them a lot of their attention initially was their liberal use of nudity.
Right. It's kind of Game of Thronesy in that regard.
Yeah, that's what got them noticed in the first place, and then people were like, wait a second, this is actually a really good game here. Who would have thought? So, yeah, but definitely I think it was the nudity that sucked people into the game in the first place, which is fine. I mean, hey, you gotta, when you're a small developer trying to compete in like the Skyrim space, you gotta do what you gotta do to get noticed, right?
Well, as long as you've got the gameplay to back it up at the end,
right?
I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and it sounds like from what they're promising that The Witcher 3 is going to be bigger than Skyrim in terms of like the scale and the scope.
Oh man,
so
it does look pretty incredible. Like as far as just draw distances and level of detail. Do we know if this is coming to the consoles too?
Yeah,
okay.
Everything: PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
I'll probably end up playing it on console at this point, just because my rapidly aging PC had a little trouble with The Witcher 2. So certainly they know how to push technology to its limits. So this might be a better console pick for those of you with mid-range computers. If you want to see The Witcher in a smooth way and not just have to tweak graphics settings for half an hour at a time to try to find a break-even point.
Yeah, agreed. I'll probably just play it on console for convenience sake. Just because it's easier. Put it in and it goes, Even though my PC can handle it, I think. I'll probably just do it on console because it's easier. So yeah, that's The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, coming, what did they push that back to? May, I think?
I don't know. It hasn't been as much on my radar, like I said, just because I could never get into how deep the previous ones were.
Yeah, so Rob has a game on his list that he's really reaching for. Nobody really cares about this game. It's never been talked about by anybody. It's kind of just been on the down low. So why don't you tell us about some stupid game that nobody cares about?
Everybody's pipe dream darling, No Man's Sky, right? Like, it's the game that we all want to believe is going to be amazing, and yet they just haven't told us nearly enough about it to, give anyone reasonable expectations. But No Man's Sky is this big, sprawling PS4 procedurally generated universe. And all the promises about it, involve like just seamless, no load time going from space to sky to planet to exploring around on those planets, finding procedurally generated vegetation and wildlife, cataloging those things, and then just like moving on to another planet. And so with the whole procedural generation thing, they literally all they need to do is just generate assets and then tell the game how to assemble them in different ways. And so then they don't have to make each of these individual, they said something like hundreds of thousands to millions of planets or something.
I thought it was unlimited.
I think there is like a limit. I think it is an explicit number of planets, but they've talked about, I want to say like millions. But it's kind of insane, and it's got all this promise of just like, freewheeling exploration about it, but we know little to nothing about what the actual gameplay is going to look like.
So the question is to you is if it is only that exploration kind of stuff, and it's basically like, remember in Mass Effect they had the mode where you went and you scanned planets to like find resources. If that's all the game is, would you be happy with that?
Depending on the price point. Like if it didn't launch at $60, I'd just be happy with that. If it was just like tooling around, building neat little ships and running into friends and, you know, going flying places together, I could get the what. That's basically Minecraft, right? Let's be reductive about Minecraft for a moment. People paid what, $22-$25 for that?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like if it launches, you know, and all it is just the exploration and seeing fascinating things and maybe uncovering some sort of you know, some sort of light meta plot that you discover through your exploration. At $30, yeah, I'd pay for that. You know, 30, 40.
I think a lot of people would. A lot of people would be down with just kind of flying through unlimited space and not, you know, if there's there's no story, not a lot of depth to it, but it's just that. I think for the right price point, I think people would be down with that.
What was that Metal Gear mini mission that got published at like $40 on
Ground Zeroes?
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, and they had the gall to charge $40 for that. You know, basically a single mission on like a couple square miles of land into one military base. You know, this is a way better value proposition than that, and I gave up on Metal Gear a long time ago. So
Metal Gear,
Otacon.
I just finished watching Metal Gear Scanlan 2 on Giant Bomb.
Yeah, the Giant Bomb.
Yeah,
man,
right.
I am getting a new appreciation for just how left field the Metal Gear series is.
I mean, I'll go and say it right now that Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite game of all time. So to see them play it and go back, I beat Metal Gear Solid 2 at least 12 times, and to see them play it was just awesome. If you don't have a Giant Bomb Premium account, that alone is reason to get it. And hello, Ann93LHERSA. Greetings. I see you in the chat saying hello, so I'm saying hello to you as well. But yeah, so that, yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent. Metal Gear.
Metal Gear. I don't know. I got my chance to be reductive about Minecraft today, so I'm satisfied with this podcast.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for No Man's Sky 2. I didn't put it on my list because until I know more about what it is, I just can't justify in my mind putting it on the list. But, I mean, you can't not be hyped for what that game is potentially going to be.
Yeah. Looks, in the same kind of vein, there's a game floating around on Steam that's still in early access, and don't take this as vouching for it because I haven't played it, but it looks really promising, and that's Planet Explorers. And it has kind of a similar vibe, but it's kind of a one-planet thing. But it's another one of those all about exploration and kind of, you know, assembling your base and your ship and building vehicles and things like that, and just exploring with a really dynamic world. So definitely a game that I'm looking at and watching for it to get a little further in early access before I decide whether to commit to it.
Boom. And now it is time for the last game on our 5 most anticipated games 2015 list. And this one is just coming straight out of left field. I'm willing to bet that quite a few people may not have even heard of this game, and I'm fine with that. And that is #IDARB, which I'm going to play a video of so you can see what it is.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this. I saw you had a game title with a hashtag, and I was like, "What have you gotten into, Dave? It's a cult."
So this is your same console multiplayer kind of game, and basically what it is it drops a ball into the middle of the stage. It's like a disc, I guess. I don't know. You can see it on the screen. The idea is to carry it to the goal, like to run it up to the other team's goal and throw it into it. The further you throw it away from, the more points you get. So if you throw it from the furthest rings, you get like 5 points. That's the core basic gameplay of the game, and it's real fast-paced and intense and crazy.
For those of you listening to the audio version of this, the audio-only version of this, it looks like a cross between basketball and rugby.
Yeah, and if you're listening to the audio version, what the hell are you doing? Come join us in the Twitch chat, man. That's where all the fun is. What are you doing over there? We love you too, audio people, but come on. Come join the party. So, that's the core basic principle of the game. Where things get crazy, though, is that people can send hash bombs and basically they're hashtag modifiers to the game. So I could be playing and you could go on Twitter and send me like a hash bomb that would make the world dark, or where there's just a little light around the ball, or little like weird thing like it zooms the plane way out, so there's black all around in the gameplay areas, a small little portion of the screen, and you're trying to see that. Or all kinds of crazy stuff can happen with these hash bombs and stuff. And this just looks like, I'm a huge fan of like those same, like I put, Gang Beasts was on my Game of the Year list this year, which is just a weird type of fighting game that you play in the same room. So I'm a big fan of games where you play in the same room. And apparently I heard that this game is going to be free for Xbox Live games with gold people when it comes out. So
this looks like the kind of game that's really courting the Twitch streamer audience.
Oh god, yeah. This is esports right here, buddy. This is esports in its purest of esportsmanship.
But the idea of like your viewers being able to do dumb things by interacting with you through Twitter, like I take it these hash bombs are sent through Twitter, yeah?
Yes. And I mean, yeah, if you're just some like random person playing in your house, the hash bombs are probably not going to be a big deal. But what really sold me on the game was Giant Bomb did, which is what we're looking at. They did a Quick Look EX, which is where they actually have the developers in the studio with them when they play it. And in the Quick Look EX, the Twitter thing was down, so no hash bombs could be sent for the first they played it for like 25, 30 minutes, and no hash bombs could be sent for like the first 5 games, and they didn't even care. They were still having a blast playing it without the hash bombs. So that's when I was like, okay, well, even me, as someone who, when I stream on Twitch, might have 2 or 3 viewers who aren't going to be hash bombing much anyway, the game still looks incredibly fun without all that. So I'm super psyched to have my friends over and play some iDarb. Hashtag iDarb, I mean.
Yeah, did you say local only co-op?
I believe that they said that there will be online multiplayer, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, I would hope that they plan to get online multiplayer in there, because there's just if there's no online multiplayer
there has to be online multiplayer because it has 8-player, and there's no way to play 8-player on an Xbox One console, so it has to be online in order for that to work.
Okay, because for myself and so many other people, the game is useless if it has no online multiplayer.
Well, just move to Connecticut, and then we'll play some games together, and it'll be fun times.
There you go. Okay.
Just move to Connecticut. It's real exciting up here. So yeah, that's it for our games we're looking forward to this year. We'd love to hear what you guys think, though. So the people in the Twitch chat have been sounding off, but if you're listening to the audio version, feel free to tweet us at Technophilia, and you tell us about the games that you're looking forward to. If anyone says anything interesting, maybe we'll talk about it next week. And we do have one quick news story to hit on before we get out of here and call it a day. I don't even know if do you call this a news story? I don't know what you call this.
It made non-gaming news sources everywhere. Like it made a lot of economic news sources just because of the damage it was doing to the reputation of publicly traded companies.
Yeah. So well, maybe we should say what it is. You probably know what it is because it probably affected you over Christmas, and that is that the hackers really went to town on Xbox Live, and even worse on PSN. They really. I don't know if it's just that Microsoft was better about getting things back up when things broke, or if they just hit Sony harder. But, yeah, they really... Crystal Games was deleted for saying caps. I don't like that one. I gotta turn that one off, because I want to know what he said now. Say it again and not caps.
You can click it to undelete it for yourself.
Oh, he said don't leave me. Aw, Crystal Games, that's so sweet! We love you, too. Yeah, so PSN was basically down from the 25th through the 27th, and it's even still having problems.
Yeah, still a little sketchy.
So Jess got a PS4 for her birthday, which is the 22nd, but I didn't try to hook it up until Christmas because we were so busy with birthday party on the 23rd for her, then Christmas Eve stuff, then Christmas Day stuff. So Christmas evening we tried to hook it up, and then I remembered, oh, that's right, everything is broken. So... just yesterday, I finally was able to get it online, get her PSN account registered, get her PlayStation Plus set up, and download the free PlayStation Plus games before January starts and those games are gone. I wanted to get my copy of Injustice. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was a minor annoyance because I wasn't even looking to play the PS4 at that point. I just wanted to make sure I got my free games before the month changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, imagine being a kid. Imagine I mean, I'm sure at some point in your life you got a video game console for Christmas, right? You must have. As a gamer, we all at some point got a console for Christmas, right?
Oh, yeah.
So imagine you get that console for Christmas, and you are so fired up, and you can't fucking use it other than to play a single-player game. But if you're new to, like, Sony, then you don't even have, like, a PSN account or anything. So, like, literally all you can do is play, like, a single-player game like the olden days.
Right.
I mean, if your parents bought you Call of Duty for Christmas, which I assume is what a lot of kids got because Call of Duty is a very popular game. Like
because it's a popular game among 12-year-olds.
You know what? You laugh, but it is a popular game among 12-year-olds.
No, I'm not kidding. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right, yes. I detected a hint of sarcasm in that, but yes, it shouldn't be, but it is. We're still watching iDog, by the way.
12-year-olds as it is among people who have 69 and 420 at the end of their screen names.
420 Blaze it, no scope, 360. So, I mean, but so imagine, you know, if you get that game, you're probably not that interested in the single player either. So, you literally have a game that you've been waiting for, you know, it's who knows how long to get and who knows how long to play, and you can't play it. Like, I would be devastated as a kid.
Well, yeah, and even furthermore, like, let's say you got a single-player game. We live in an age of day one patches. What if you got Assassin's Creed Unity?
Yeah, or even remember The Evil Within? They've even come out and said that, like, you've seen the side-by-side of that compared to what it actually finally was with the patches. I mean, that game was broken.
I hadn't heard, but I hadn't seen it, but I'd heard the difference. Yeah.
It's. I mean, it looks like garbage without the day one patch.
Yeah. I mean, I think the take home here is it is a damn shame that hackers ruined Christmas for people who wanted to play video games with their time off. It is only slightly less of a damn shame that two public companies that manage our video game infrastructure can't protect themselves from some kids who are doing this for the lulz. You know, like, I want to see these companies really get security straightened out after this, because otherwise we're just, you know, we're at the mercy of script kiddies.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's just like they don't have some just cause or anything. It's just like
later they claimed, they were like, oh, we were doing it so that Microsoft and Sony would have to beef up their security because we don't like how secure our data is with them. You know, we want them to be forced
bullshit.
to take measures. Yeah, I didn't believe it for a minute, but yeah, I mean, it all's gone off the radar at this point. But these are you know, kiddies who love attention, and of course people will pay attention because that's how news works, unfortunately.
Yep, and don't forget there was that funny stuff with the Kim.com. He offered them like lifetime accounts to stop. And
they stopped. So
but then another group jumped in and kept going. So the whole thing was like another Lizard Squad Twitter popped up and started saying that they were still doing it. So like it just goes so you can't stop them.
Yeah, extortion worked over Christmas. That's basically what happened. Because they got something for all their trollishness because a billionaire wanted to play Destiny.
He's like, come on, guys, let me play my games. Here, have lifetime accounts. You know, we should have given him lifetime accounts to Technophilia podcast, and then we could have gotten him to stop.
James is in the chat, and he's saying they also moved to attack Tor, which is the service that basically helps people in kind of highly information controlled countries still reach the internet.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know the exact science of it, but apparently it like bounces your signal across relays so that your totalitarian government can't oppress you. So, you know,
and I think it's just for privacy conscious people, like the same kind of people who browse behind a VPN all the time would use Tor.
Yeah, but basically they were potentially gaining access. I don't want to say they were, but they were potentially gaining access to information that could get people killed, which is, you know, well above and beyond, you know, crushing my video gaming fun. That's way too far. So yeah, it's a shame that people are awful human beings. I guess that's the bottom line.
Yep. You should just get a PC. They didn't really do anything to PC. That's the secret. Just play on Steam.
I thought they did try to attack Steam.
They do. I mean, it goes, but Valve brings it up within like minutes. We're not talking days when Steam has a problem. Within minutes, Valve has that thing back up. So, not saying almighty PC, blah, 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 but I'm just saying, you know, they seem to be slightly better than some of the consoles at getting things up. Though Microsoft did a good job. They got things back up. They were up before Christmas was over, as far as I understand. So they were. It was not perfect, but it was at least usable and playable. So I feel like Sony just sucks at the internet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I hope they get their stuff worked out, or this is just going to happen again. And I mean, their reputation, as much goodwill as they generated with how they handled the launch of the PlayStation 4, they're burning it with how they're handling their online content. So
let's hope they turn it around. At least no one attacked the Wii U.
Yeah. So if you were looking to play Smash Brothers over, actually, probably the innocent kiddies who don't play Call of Duty when they're 8 years old, they were having a great time probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they everything was good over there in their land. They were peaceful and they were having a grand old time. So, and that's
watching Mario punch Peach into oblivion.
Perfectly non-violent. Perfectly non-violent. And that's really all we have for the show this week. So it was a little on the short side. We went about an hour though, so I'd say we did all right, especially without the almighty James Bruce here to keep us in check and keep us, our new host, Mr. James Bruce. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter. That is at the Technophilia. We tweet, when we're live streaming gameplay and the show itself and occasional various bits of wisdom. Same goes for Facebook. Facebook.com/Technophilia podcast. I spell it wrong a lot of the time, so you probably will too, but you'll figure it out if you type it in enough times. Follow me on Twitter at Sidox. Follow Rob on Twitter. It's his name.
At Robert Wiesehan, Wiesehan. And also, big thanks to the few new faces I saw in the chat here on Twitch today. Appreciate you guys dropping in and engaging with the chat, and make sure you come back again next time too.
Well, only some of the new faces.
Yeah, not the awful new faces.
A certain group of new faces, some of whom followed us because I got emails that they followed us, so that's great. So now they'll know when we're on. So thanks, fuck faces. Did I forget something? Oh, don't follow James. He's not even here, so screw that guy. And make sure to follow the channel because I'm slowly working on getting Rob to start coming stream some games over on this channel. Maybe eventually we can get him off his channel altogether and we'll just be the Technophilia Super Game channel, but that'll be for another time down the road. But we'll work on him, chip away at him little by little. And then eventually we'll get James to play some games and stream those too. So...
yeah, we can have more. He can have some more Oculus Rift dev kit fun.
Can you even stream that?
I don't know, but it's his game of the year, so he should be doing something with it.
Yeah. Also, I modded Scutterman, so if anything weird like that happens again, Scutterman's on it. So thank you, Scutterman. We love you. And that's gonna do it, guys. So we will see you next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. There will be rebroadcasts of the show throughout the week. Whenever I notice that a large gaming talk show is streaming, I will rebroadcast and leech their fans because I have no shame. See you guys later.